Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Steve here with another CG Geek Blender tutorial. Now, you may be one of the 40 million plus people that have seen the recent Star Wars 7 trailer, and like me, you may have been inspired to want to do something Star Wars. So, in this tutorial, I am going to be creating a TIE fighter. Wanted to do something Star Wars, and TIE fighter was a pretty fun thing to do. So I have a few reference photos here for you guys to take a look at, and you can see there's quite a bit of detail in these, and it's also all pretty much hard surface modeling. And looking over my channel, I don't have many or any really tutorials on doing hard surface modeling like this, and so I think it's good that I do a tutorial on this topic. It's quite fun, and let me show you guys. I have a few of them here. I get that one, and you can just see the amount of detail that you could put into something like this, and you can spend quite a long time. I don't want to make this tutorial too long, so I'm not going to go crazy on the detail, but you can see a finished scene that I did here with the model I made using this technique, and it'll be similar to this model here, and you can see that I just went ahead and added a bunch of some explosions, some sweet glares, and I'll be doing the materials in the next part. This part will just be covering the modeling, but it should be a lot of fun. So let's jump into Blender. I'm just going to first switch from Blender Render over to Cycles Render, just so we get that out of the way, and let's just get modeling. So let me quick delete my lamp here and just kind of clean up my workspace. Remove the camera for now, and I'm going to let me quick turn on my screencast keys for you guys so you can see what I'm pressing. There we go. So I'm just going to hit X and delete my default cube. Now let's Shift A, add in a UV sphere. So this UV sphere is going to be the center base of my my TIE fighter. So just going to the front or right view, I guess would work. Let's go front view. I'm going to tab into edit mode, select all with A, and rotate it 90 degrees along the X axis. So now I have basically the point of the UV sphere facing right at me, and that's what I want. And now I want to first check this button down here. This is the limit selection to visible. I want that unchecked because I want to be able to select the vertices that I can't see. And I'm just going to hit B and basically select everything to the left of this UV sphere. So all those vertices, and then X, delete the vertices. So we have half a sphere, and now I'm just going to add in a mirror modifier. So modifier, mirror, and you can see it places it over there. Let's enable clipping on that modifier too. And let's add in one more modifier. Let's do a subsurf modifier right here. And let's just turn the view up to 2 on that. And enable smooth shading over in our toolbar here. There we go. So nice perfect circle. Now let's mess it up. So basically, grab that center vertice there, facing you, and let's just hit Control plus a few times. And basically I'm going to create that center window basically in the TIE fighter. If I jump over here, you can see you got that window there, and you know, all TIE fighters have it, and with that kind of rim around it. And so that's what this part is going to be. So I think I can delete all these vertices. Let's just hit X, delete vertices. So we have a big hole cut out. And you know what? Maybe I'll keep this ring. So I'm just going to Control minus once and then delete those. Alright, so that's a pretty good circle. So hitting Option and right clicking, I can select that ring there of vertices. And I'm just going to jump to top view. And basically, I'll scale this down a little bit. Let me first... Okay, yeah. Scale down a little bit. Whoops. And extrude. So I'm going to hit E to extrude, kind of pull it out a little bit, and this is going to be scaling upwards as well. So scale it upwards a bit, extrude it, pull it out a little bit more, scale it upwards some more. Now you can see the scaling is a little bit weird. It's not scaling where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is, before I do that, I'm going to select just the top and bottom. Oh, delete it one more time. I had already extruded, so there's duplicates there. So I'm going to select the top and the bottom, both these, and then go Shift S, cursor to selected. Alright, now I'm going to hit period on my keyboard, so my pivot point now is the 3D cursor, as you can see right here. And now I can basically scale around that, and that will make it easier. So extrude, pull it out. Whoops, I just moved my cursor. Shoot. Do that again real quick. Shift S, cursor to selected. So extrude, pull it out, something like that, and scale it up a bit. Very good. With S, and then extrude, pull it out some more, and we'll scale it up a bit more, and then extrude it on, and then extrude it and scale it. So we're kind of creating that lip that that comes out of the TIE Fighter for the glass, and something like that doesn't look too bad. Alright, very good. Not too bad. And I think I can do one more. Let me quick check my image here, and we can see how that looks. And then our finished one as well. And alright, let me just jump back here, and I'm just going to scale it, extrude it, and scale it one more time. Something like that. And that doesn't look too bad. So now what we want to do is we want sharper edges on this model, because not only, I mean, basically it's hard surface modeling, and these round corners look way too organic. So a few things we're going to do along the process, along the way, to make it more hard surface and look more realistic like a spaceship would be, is using the crease function here in our properties tab. You can open and close it with N. So basically I'm just going to select that ring there and take the mean crease up to 1. And you can see basically that gives you a perfectly sharp edge there. That's what I want. I think I'm going to move these out a little bit too. There we go. Maybe scale those up just a little bit, just to kind of match the other side. Maybe I can pull these in just a tad too. Alright, so something like that. It looks a little better maybe. So something else I'm going to do is add in one more modifier, and that's going to be a, let me see here, an edge split modifier. And I want the angle to be around 30, and basically this is going to also act like the crease will in areas. And you can see if I turn the split angle all the way down to 0, it basically makes every face sharp. And if I go to 30, it basically lets all this be round, but any angle at the angle of 30 will be sharp edged, and that's what I want to. So let me see how this is looking compared to our finished one here and some of these other references. And I think it's looking pretty good. The circle might be just a little small. So basically we can just select that whole thing, scale it up a little bit, and pull it back a little bit as well, till we get something that we're happy with. Maybe scale it along the Y a little bit too. It might be a little bit fat. And there we go. So that works well for that. I'm going to close my properties tab there with N. Now let's get that mesh shape going. So that is basically, I'm just going to grab a ring here. Let's just grab this ring here and go front view. And I want to select with the edges. So select your edge select here. And basically, I think, all right, I want one here, want one there, and then one between. So you're going to select one, and then go 3 without selecting one, select one. Go, whoops, let me unselect those. 3 without selecting one. Is that all unselected? No, I still got one there. There we go. And all the way across. So basically, it might help if you hit C, and then use your middle mouse button to unselect. And there we go. Now on the top and bottom, we're going to have to go 2. So just go ahead and go 2. And there as well. Well, actually, no, we don't, because it's going to be mirrored. I wasn't thinking of that. These don't have to be 2. Everything else has to be 2. All right. So it might also help if you go to wireframe to with Z. But let me just select those two, those two, those two, and we have 2 in between each one. All right, perfect. So that's exactly what we want. 1 here, 2 everywhere else. And basically, I'm going to Shift D those, so I have all those edges duplicated. Then I'm going to switch from 3D cursor pivot point to be individual origins, and I'm going to scale those down a bit. So you can see they're much smaller, all individually. And now I'm just going to extrude and scale. And now I want to go back to the cursor as my pivot point, so I'm going to hit period and then scale. And you can see I pull those all out towards the center. Now I only want them to come out about that far. Let me, you can check your image and see, yeah, Maybe that's even a little bit too far, and something like that. All right, now I'm going to extrude them one more time, scale them a little bit more, and leave them. So what I'm going to do now is switch to my vertices select mode, and let's quick face off these. So just selecting these 4 vertices between them and making a face. So let's do that all the way around here, selecting the right ones. Face there, and face there. So we got that kind of web-like look, and that's good. Now, basically, I want to select this whole loose mesh. So just hit L while hovering over the mesh, and you'll select it all. And I want this all to have a 1 mean crease. So let's turn that to 1. And then also give it smooth shading. Very good. Now, this is looking pretty good, but it doesn't have the bevel that we need to it. So, basically, there's kind of a glass, and it's kind of beveled here. So, before I change this, though, why don't I make the bevel itself? So I'm just going to select the last ring we did on our mesh here. Go to top view, extrude, pull it out a bit, and scale it way down. Let's just scale it down to 0. And then we can just go Alt-M, merge them all at the center. Pull that forward. So we're going down to a triangle shape here. Pull it forward, something like that. Kind of getting the shape that we want, you know, looking at it from the top view. The shape of the glass that you want. And then I'm just going to hit Control-R and put a few rings in here. So Control-R. Let's get that edge there. Not selecting it. Control-R. Let's try that again. Can't seem to get that. Well, maybe I don't want to merge these then. Maybe Command-Z that. So I don't merge them. And then let's try that. Extrude. Scale them way down. Scale them down to 0. And then let's see if we can control. Oh, there we go. So Control-R and scroll it out a few times. Let me do that again. Control-R, then mouse wheel to give us a few cuts like that. Then let's grab those middle vertices. And basically, they're all pivoted inwards now because it's going to the 3D cursor. I'm just going to change the proportional editing over to connected. And so now it's also on. And I'm going to change the fall off to be sharp. All right, so we turn that on down there. Now I can pull this out using the scroll wheel, and you get that kind of shape. Now in this case, I think you actually want to use smooth, but yeah, that looks like for the most part it's going to work a little bit better. So you can kind of pull that out with that. So give it the shape you want there, and then that middle vertice will have to come out by its own. So I'm just going to turn O off, and whoops, hit it one more time so it's completely off there, and then pull that one out there as well. So that looks pretty good, not too bad. Now I don't know how this whole thing, it's because I extruded a few times. Basically, I don't need this edge loop here, so I'm just going to hit X, delete edge loops, and then select everything here. Just box select and slide your mouse, and pull it back in there, like we had it. Very good. Now I also need a crease around this edge, so I'm going to hit N to bring up my properties and give it a 1 on the mean crease. Very good. It might actually need to come back there a little bit more. Something like that. And that looks pretty decent. So let's go back to our frame here. Hit L to select it all. Pull it back so it's about to the edge there. And basically I can do the same thing that I did with the outer edge with the inner edge here. And let's just hit C and deselect everything around the outside because we want these to stay here. Just using the middle mouse button and clicking to do that. And let's turn on proportional editing to connected again. Alright, so we can just kind of pull this out and get something like that. But first I want to add in a few edge cuts on each of these. So I'm going to go about 3. And it's kind of hard to see it behind the mesh. We could just hit L and H to hide that for now. If you hit Alt-H, it will unhide it, so don't worry, it's not gone. And let me just put about 3 cuts in here with Control-R and then mouse wheeling. Very good, and here too. Cool. So let's select that inner edge there, Option H to unhide that, and then let's go Shift-L to deselect that. And now we can pull it out using proportional editing. So in this case, let me try sharp fall off. you want to play around with the fall offs, and sometimes you'll find some that work better than others. Maybe just using the sphere would work in this case. And that's kind of working. I might have it on too strong, and I think I might want to use a root, and that one should do it. That looks right. So you just want to play around with those until you get the fall off that you're looking for, and then experiment with the amount you want as well. Something like that looks right. And then I'll just hit L on the mesh there, pull it back a little bit, and then I'm going to hit E to extrude and give it some thickness. I need to turn off proportional editing now, and then pull that extruded, whoops, all the way off, pull it extruded back some more. Very cool. So now you got that kind of look, and that's looking pretty sweet. I do need to add the mean crease back to it. Now that I add the extrusion, turn that back to 1, and that fixes that. And it looks pretty good. It might be a little bit thick. We can just adjust the thickness by sliding the faces in and outward. So let me just hide that. And let me just go front view, face select, and let me turn off this now, or turn it on, I guess. And box select everything. I can turn it back on. There we go. And you can see it just selected the faces I could see. So now I can just pull those back and make that a bit thinner. And cool. So that looks a little bit better. Maybe still a little bit fat on this end here. So turning on medium point, or I'm sorry, individual origins, we can scale that down. And we could use some proportional editing connected for this as well. And scale it down a bit. How come I'm not seeing my wheel? Maybe I have to make it bigger. I'm not seeing the proportional editing. Let me go vertices. There we go. Can't be in face select, I guess, and see it. And scale it. How come it's not all moving? Let me turn this back to just smooth. That's weird. Doesn't seem to be oh, maybe it's because I have individual origins on. Let's go medium point. There we go. Yeah. So scale it down, turn your wheel size way down, and make it more narrow there. That one's just too fat. I think I want to go back to, I think sharp might work here. And scale it down. I'm not liking that. I'm just going to grab these vertices here and double tap G, and let me see if I can slide those in. There we go. That's what you want to do. Double tap G, slide them inward until you get something like that. Cool. And I think these need to come in a little bit too then. Double tap G and get them going the right way. It doesn't seem to want to do it. Let me just move it in manually. Turn proportional editing off, and there we go. So that's looking pretty good. Good enough. So now let's, I think this needs to come out just a little bit. Whoops, just this. And let's unhide everything else. Shift L to unselect that. Put it out a little bit. There we go. I think maybe just that inner section actually needs to come out. Let me deselect everything around that, and we should be good. There we go. Pull that out. There we go. Perfect. Not too bad. Something like that. And you can see how this could be just a little bit of tweaking, but not too bad. There we go. I think I'm just going to hide that again. I think I might also need to pull these out a little bit just to kind of fix that proportional editing there. But it's not that big of a deal. Just kind of straighten that out just a tad. Very good. And that looks pretty sweet. There's a little bit of a gap in places on it, but it's not too bad. I might just pull it in a little bit now. And I can also tab in edit mode and option H, unhide all that. That looks pretty good though. So let's move on to the next thing. And I could spend a lot more time on this sphere, but I'm just going to get on to the wings and then come back to this towards the end when I'm doing more of the finishing details. So let's just get on to the wings. So if you look at my image here, you can see the wings are kind of triangular shaped. They start out fatter, get narrower, turn into kind of a pipe, and then you have it attached to the wing. So that's what I'm going to do. And basically, let's just select with the face select option here in the side view the vertices that we want to be the wing. So I'm thinking something like that. is about the right shape. And that looks like it should be good. So I'm going to select that many vertices, 4 by 4 by 4, and then 2 on top and bottom. And extrude it out. Extrude it out to about there. Alright, and then scale it along the Z. So S and Z. And then let's straighten that up as well. So this is something you do a lot in hard surface modeling as well. To keep everything straight, I'm going to scale along the X to 0. And you can see basically it just scales all those faces till they're perfectly flat along the X-axis. So there we go. And now I need to add in some creases. So go to Edge Select. Select this edge along here, all around. Just hitting Option and right-clicking to get them all selected there. Whoops, not that one, just that one. Very good. And let's hit N and turn the mean crease all the way up there. And if you have this kind of weird issue, well, I did put a crease in there, so that's part of the issue. And that looks like it fixed it. Alright, so over here as well, I missed a little bit. Let's just grab that and mean crease to 1. Excellent. So now I also want a mean crease along this edge here, this edge here, this edge here, this one. Basically on all the corners, I want them to be straight and not rounded. So I'm grabbing all those, and then I'm also going to need to grab these. So just Option clicking and selecting the outer edge of my extrusion here. Very good, and perfect. Turn the mean crease up to 1 on that. And it looks like I missed one there. Okay, boom. Now you can see that's much straighter and sharper and cleaner looking. I missed this edge. Boom, we're good. And this edge here. Boom, we're good. Cool. So now this also needs to be scaled down along the Y here. But what I'm going to do is, as you can see in the images here, it kind of goes down in levels there. So I want to kind of do that as well. So basically, I'm going to pull these back a little bit, and now just select the center faces here. So deselect the edges here, and just leave that center one. And now I'm going to extrude, scale it along the Z, so it's more square shaped, it's about perfectly square shaped there, and then extrude it and pull it out again. So we get that. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. It's not perfect yet, and we have some creases that need to be added in there, but it's looking pretty decent. So one thing else, I mean, let me quick Command C that. I should have, boom, not done these bottom ones either, just the center 4x4. All right, that's what I did wrong. So just grab those and I can just extrude those out. Cool. So looking at your image again here, you can see at what point does it really turn into a sphere, and pretty much around that point there. So I'm pretty certain that at this point I can kind of turn this into a sphere. So before I extrude, well, I guess I should extrude it at least once here. Extrude it once, and now I have basically a pretty squared off shape here. I can scale it in along the Y a little bit to make it a little bit more square, but pretty square shape. And basically I want to kind of turn this into a sphere. So what I'm going to do is basically there's a technique that you can use in Blender. You just hit space and I'll search it up here. It's called 2 sphere. So I'm just going to type 2 and you can see it pops up there. It's also Shift Alt S. And basically it kind of converts your selection into a sphere. It's really cool. And you can control the amount with how you move your mouse wheel. But I'm going to go, let's just go all the way up. And then I can kind of move these vertices around a little bit. Let's grab that one, pull it up, grab that one, pull it down. And you can see it also does it side to side here. It's kind of annoying. I'm just going to delete these center vertices now though, because I don't need them. So just delete those. And there we go. So that's pretty sphere-like. Not exactly. You can do a little bit of manual work now by hitting G twice and kind of sliding these vertices along, and then jumping into side view and just kind of posing them a little bit more like a sphere would be. Like that. Like that. Double tapping G and just pulling out a little bit. And that looks pretty circle to me. Good enough for me. So now what I'm going to do is basically grab this, pull it in there, scale it down a little bit so it's right in there. Let's just go back a little bit more, something like that. Alright, give it a mean crease of 1. And now I can extrude out that pipe. And there you go. Pretty cool. So there's a few technique and tips on doing hard surface modeling. Now continuing on here, let's grab this edge here. There we go. That one and that one. Right there. Whoops. Having trouble grabbing these. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. Those 4 and these 4. And now I can scale these along the y-axis and pull them in there real tight like that. And that looks pretty cool. Something like that. Alright. And you can see we get some coolness coming in there. Coolness? I'm pretty sure that's a word. And I want to add a little bit more detail to this now. So basically I'm going to put a cut in here. Control R. And let's put a cut right about there. Alright. And I'm just going to add a little bit more detail to this area now. And what I want to do first is let me see here. I'm just going to select these 2 edges here and hit I to inset them. So insetting basically creates an extrusion and scales it down along the normals of the faces. So it's going to be perfectly even there. And so you get something like that. And then basically I'm just going to select those 2 inner faces and extrude them outward. Yeah, let's go outward with them. Something like that. Alright, and now vertices select mode. I'm going to go Control plus, select that whole section now, and I can turn the mean crease up to 1 on that. So you get a nice, sharp, clean extrusion there. A little bit of an issue around the edges here though. So what you can do to kind of clean these up is if you select those corners there and give those a mean crease, you can see it kind of fixes that edge along there. So you might also want to do the triangular corners. And let me just actually switch to edge select so I can get those and not the other ones. And there we go. Put a 1 on that, and that looks pretty good. So there's a little bit more detail, and a lot more detail could be put into this. Maybe go insert here, and then take these downward a bit, straight down. And then we need to also put, let me get Control plus, and put a mean crease on. Switch to edge select on all that. Wait a minute, I don't see the mean crease option. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was closed. There we go. And of course the triangles here as well. There we go. And 1. So, you know, basically you can go as close to the model as you want and then kind of take some liberties and start doing some of your own adjustments to the mesh, just giving it some more detail. But I'm going to move on to the rod here. Pull it back a little bit. Actually, let's leave it out there. And I'm just going to, alright, I'm going to add some edge loops. So Control R, let's put 2 of them. Scale them along the X. So we get a ring like that. Pull them out here. Let's switch to face select mode. Option, click that ring now. Extrude. And I'm going to scale along the Shift X. So it's not scaling along the X, but it's scaling along the Z and Y. And we'll go something like that. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to switch to edge select mode. Control plus. Whoops. Let me just select that edge there. That edge there. And do the same thing on both of them. This is a better way of doing it. There we go. And give that a mean crease of 1. And you can see we get that kind of ring on there. That's pretty cool. Let me do it again. Maybe with a different size ring this time. We'll leave it a little bit fatter maybe. Scale on the X. And do the same thing again. So option select it. Extrude. Scale along the Shift X. Maybe make this one a little bit bigger as well. And then switch to edge select mode. And put creases along this ring. Right there. That ring there. That one there. Very good. And then that one right there. And put a mean crease of 1 on that. There we go. And that's looking pretty good and sci-fi. Sci-fi. That's a new word. Alright, so let's just continue on with some more detail. I think I want to put an edge in here. Let me see. Let me think about this for a second. Yes. So basically, I want to grab, let me go edge select. Yep. Select these here, and here, and here. Okay. And I'm going to pull these. Whoops, I got some edges over here selected. Undo that. Very good. Pull these back. Or actually, no, let me change that. I'm going to grab these here. Alright, let's just grab this whole edge loop actually. And this one on top as well. Alt, Shift, right click. All right, and that one too. And actually, yeah, let's grab the whole edge loop. Very good. And let's pull it back a little bit. So I'm just gonna grab all these actually, and let's see if I can. No, that's not gonna work. I'm just gonna slide them back like that. And basically, what I want to do here is Control R, put another cut in here, right up next to it actually. Yep, right up next to it, and scale it down a little bit. Something like that. Cool. Give it a mean increase of 1. Boom. And then let's Control plus that. Whoops, no, that won't work. I need to select this edge loop again. There we go. Real fast. Perfect. Looks like I got everything. And give that a mean increase of 1 as well. So there's a sharp edge like that. And that looks pretty sweet. So another little bit of detail there. Now I can pull this bottom edge and top edge, scale those down along the Z to be something like that. Cool. And let's also grab that edge and that edge, both of those on both sides, and scale those along the Y. No, I guess I have to go to vertices select mode and get those top ones as well. There we go. And those. Perfect. Okay, scale those along the Y now. There we go. That's more like it. Scale them along the Y. Get them in a bit tighter. Now maybe deselect these and keep pulling the other edges there in a little bit more. Scale on the Y. Something like that. And that looks pretty cool. So you can see with just a little bit of work, you can get quite a bit of detail. And it's pretty fun and looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So let's kind of move on to the let me see. I might want to add a little bit more here. Yes. I want to grab these two faces here and basically extrude them and pull them out along that side. Now that looks a little bit weird at first, but basically what I'm going to do now is, let me see, thinking right here now, I'll put an edge loop, and I can basically just join these up. Alright, so I'm just going to select this edge and that edge, Control M, whoops, I'm sorry, Alt M, and we want to do at last. So you want to remember what vertex you select. You select this one, then that one, Alt M, at last. Same here, selecting this one first, Alt M, at last, Alt M, at last. Cool. Now I want to grab these faces here, pull them inward a little bit more, and then scale them along the Z a little bit. There we go. And also we'll have two faces stuck back there now that I did that behind it. And I'm just going to select those faces back there, and then X delete the faces. Very good. And let me fix the normals now by just selecting those faces around the edges, giving them a mean increase of 1. And got a little bit of an issue right here. Basically, this whole thing is coming out a little bit too far. So I'm just going to grab those two faces and pull it in there. Something like that. And that looks pretty good. There we go. Everything looks nice and clean, sharp, and great. Right here we got a little bit of an issue. I mean, you might want to kind of straighten these out a little bit. So I'm just going to select those and pull them up something like that. Cool. And let's pull these back as well. Something like that. Rotate them, just kind of straighten up everything, keep everything neat and orderly. Grab both those there. And there we go. That's a little bit better. Maybe those there as well. Keeping everything straight and orderly always helps. Let me just grab, that's fine. Alright, so that's pretty good for that, and there's some more detail we're going to do on the sphere, obviously, but I'm going to move on to the wing now. So take a look at our picture here. Basically, what I'm going to do is make a wing. Yeah. It's, you know, I'm basically going to extrude out sections of my sphere now into this shape, and then extrude these out, and pretty simple, pretty much what we've been doing. Should be pretty fun and pretty easy. So let me just take this edge loop there and extrude and scale it up. So something like that. Alright. Now it's perfectly round, and it's not exactly perfectly round at this point anymore. On the, if you look over here, on this, kind of gets into a rectangular shape. So, to kind of mimic that, I'm going to put an edge or a mean crease, Control plus, on all these as well. So let me just hit N, and mean crease that to 1. Now you can see that's not perfectly round anymore. So, grabbing that, scaling it down just a little bit, and something like that looks pretty good. And taking a look at our reference, alright, not too bad. Basically, cool. I'm going to extrude it this ways now. Alright, now I'm going to be able to extrude out these sections, boom, boom, in the form that I want the wings to go. So let me kind of count the number of wings right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 going straight back and forth, and then 2 on sharp angles. So let's grab the straight back and forth ones to begin with, and I'm gonna have to use 2 faces for these. Let's grab those 2 and those 2, and all right, that should work. Basically, I want to let me scale on individual origins and scale those down a bit. Alright, so they're about the same length as one face combined. I think would work well. Alright, something like that. And maybe scale them along the X now, or Y, just to kind of fill that square out a little bit. Something like that. Like that. Yeah, there we go. This way is cool. And now I can extrude, scale along the Y. And I need to turn this back to medium point. There we go, scale along the Y. So there's one set of the wing things there. Let me just grab these 2 faces. Will those work well? Yeah, I think they should. I can kind of change the angles a little bit on them. But I think these will work okay for that. So maybe, just maybe, I want to inset these first. Let me quick do that there as well. I think insetting might work a little bit better. So just grab these 2 faces now, inset them to something like that. Alright, cool. And same over here. Let's just inset these, grab them both, I to inset, something similar to the one we did over there. Alright, and then these inset. We can actually, let me just do these both at the same time, the top and the bottom one there. Alright, both those. Inset those a bit, and then these 2, top and bottom there, and inset those. Cool. So now I can have more control over how I want these to be pointing, and I'm just going to select all these. Very good. And perfect. And that one there as well. And now I can just extrude and scale, and poof, you get like crazy wing. But that's what we want right now. Now I'm going to change it to individual origins and scale them down. So we get something much neater looking like that. Let's switch to edge select mode, Control plus that twice, and give that all a mean crease of 1. Alright, so making some progress there. It's looking okay. So a few things that need to be changed is basically this section here, and these sections down here as well need to be rotated out a little bit. So I'm just going to select both those and rotate them. Whoops, let me go to the medium point again there. Rotate them something like that. You can only rotate them so much, and then you'll be hitting that edge there. You don't want to do that. So I'll just rotate them about that much. That might be enough. Let me just check. Do this side as well. And rotate. Alright, that's about as far as I can go there. Whoops. I want to stay in that view while you rotate. There you go. And that's not too bad. If they were thinner now, they might be proper. These are coming out a little bit too far here. Boom, boom. Let's scale those along the X or Y a little bit. Alright, now let's thin them all up a little bit. So basically, what I can do to thin these down a little bit is if I just go Alt S. Okay, that's not going to work too well if I have that last face there. Let me try that. Alt S. Nope. Try vertices select there. Alt S. Maybe if I go medium point, let me try that real quick. Alt S basically scales more narrow, and so it can be helpful in some situations, but here it doesn't seem like it's gonna work for me. But that's okay. So to make them more narrow, I'm just going to go face select, grab that face there, hit G twice. Let me see if I can slide that in. Let me go to vertex, hit G twice. Alright, that's not working either. Fine, be that way. So let's grab both those faces there. And let's change our rotation here from global over to local. Or no, let's try it normal. There we go. And you can see our little gimbal there turns. And let's try local's not it. Let me try view. I want it to be going along the normals, but the normals might be messed up actually. So let me just select everything here. Hit T to bring up my toolbar, and shading UVs. Recalculate the normals. Let's see if that fixes anything. No, it's still gonna be twisted, so that won't work either. Alright, so basically what I want to do is with edge select mode on, let's just select the bottom edge there. Option, click it. Let's just box select it. Boom. Got you. And then this edge up here, we can option click that ring there. Cool. And we can just scale them down. Now we want these all to be consistent. I'm scaling along the individual origins, just to give you guys a heads up. And we want to be consistent, so let's do them all at the same time. Select those. Cool. Those, and whoop, got those already. Those. And then let's zoom in here and get all these edges loops here too. So option click that one, option right click that one, option right click that one, and this one over here as well. Option right click that one. We got one more down here. Whoops, Command Z, don't want that one selected. Not that one either. Let me try and get that. There we go. So with all those selected, I should be able to scale them down. Perfect. And get them thinner. Although, along the edges, those aren't really doing it evenly. But actually, yeah, it's pretty close. So to scale them down something like that. Let me see. I'm kind of imagine what the wing look like. I think that should be pretty good. Cool. That should work. So let's add in that that face now. So to do that, I'm just gonna need to borrow a face somewhere. Yeah. Well, what I can actually do is let's just do this. Let's select this vertex and that vertex. Shift D it. So we have two separate vertices there. Hit F so make a face between the two of them. And those seem to be off a little bit. Let's fix that first before I duplicate those. These are off a little bit. Let's try and match them up a little bit more. You can kind of use your grid there to see this should be really like right there. Alright, actually let me just double tap G and slide it because that'll be more accurate. There we go. It should really be like right there. And oops, I didn't delete that duplicate vertex there. So delete those vertices. There we go. And same up here. I guess these didn't go perfectly even yet. This has to be along that edge. So let me just box select that and double tap G to kind of match that closer to that over there. And that looks pretty accurate. So yeah, what I was going to do now is, yeah, let me quick do that face thing that I was doing down here. Just select that vertex there. That's the outer one, and the outer one there. Go front view, Shift D, make a face out of that. Cool. Let's scale that along the Z-axis to 0, so it's perfectly straight. And let's extrude that. So hit E to extrude it, and pull that face up to here. And then scale that along the X, or Y, to right about there. Going a little bit further than it. Let's go up to the middle edge there, actually. Scale it out a little bit further than it goes. Actually, these have to be adjusted a little bit, so we'll just go a nice medium point there. And extrude them up to there as well. Scale it down to something like that. Alright, so now we can kind of see how we need to tweak our edges here a little bit. I want to pull these inward a little bit. And actually what you can do at these corners to make them match up a little bit nicer is just grab that middle piece there and pull that up to the corner there. And then let's grab that middle, grab it along the Z a little bit, match it up nicely. just so things look a little bit cleaner. Excellent. And then this side as well. Let's pull them up to the edges there. Boom. And then let's just select that middle one and fit it in there nicely. Very cool. Now you can see that our face here, let's just hit L to try and select that. There we go. Needs to have a mean crease of 1. Alright, so you can see it really coming together now. We need to tweak these corners here, just like we need to tweak them on top. Let's just kind of line them up, because we know that these are going to be perpendicular to each other perfectly. So if these, whoops, let me grab both sides of that. Very good. If these line up to the corners there, fairly close, then it will be pretty accurate. So let's select that. Shift L we can do to try and unselect that behind it. There we go. And just line that up in there. Somewhat good. Doing this all in right view. This is kind of coming through a little bit. Let's just pull it over a little bit then, I guess. Very good. Let's see what that looks like from top view. Alright. And this down here as well. So let's just option select that ring, side view. And actually, in this case, these can be scaled out a little bit because they're a little bit more narrow. I had scaled down a little bit here, too far. So let's just, whoops, let's just grab that edge there. There we go. Scale it up, something like that. Cool. And yeah, to make sure this is perpendicular, I'm just gonna quick Shift D this edge as a reference. Pull it up there, and you can see this one needs to be a little bit bigger to match. Something like that. Boom, and that will be close enough. So I can X that edge out now, and you can see that I needed to move these in a little bit more. So it's important to be pretty close and symmetrical around. So I like to just take a few extra steps and make everything nice and clean. Very good. So let's give this a little bit of thickness now. Go to face select mode, select both those faces, and extrude them out. Something like that. But actually, let me, before I do that real quick, I think it might be helpful and speed our process up a little bit if I put the cuts in this mesh that I want to do. So basically, for unwrapping, it would be very helpful if I had the edges in here. So I'm just going to go Control R, put an edge loop there, and Control, let's just leave that for now. One in there, and let's pull it over to be right across the middle there, and then let's pull this one over to be right across the middle there. And then, do I have a middle vertex? Yeah, there we go. And those aren't actually perfectly symmetrical, but it won't matter because you won't see the seams here. So let me just pull that over there. And actually, I could kind of fix that if I wanted to right there. Let's just move that in to be right about there, kind of following that line there, vertex there. Let's grab that, this vertex here, double tap G. Whoops, is that the right one? Yes, or no, this is the right one. This is the right one. Yeah, I'm sorry. There you go. Line it up to the center, and then we can kind of make this more symmetrical, like I said, by lining these up to the center all the way across. So, boom, that's pretty close there. Boom. And these need to be moved here. Let me just select that edge loop there. Very good. And let's move that over to that. Now that I scaled these down, you have more play to get them in the proper spots. Something like that looks good, and that looks pretty good up here as well. Maybe just move that vertex right there. So basically this gives me extra face, and now I have a separate face for that section, separate face for that section. That's what I want. So same thing over here now. I need to Control R. I guess that won't work because I already did it there. So, okay, so what I can do, I don't know why I didn't think of this quicker, is knife. Hit K on your keyboard or keyboard for knife. Just go to that corner there, and let me just zoom out a little bit. All right, so knife. Whoops. K on your keyboard. Go to the corner there, right there, and then go right to that corner. There. Kind of let it snap, and click. then just hit return. And basically we get the edge across there as well. So we can select that edge there, give it a mean crease of 1, and tweak the mesh at the center here to match it like we did before real quick. And that should be pretty good. There we go. And then that one as well. And maybe rotate just a tad. That looks pretty close. This new versi, oh, I guess it's not a versi over there. I guess I might as well just join these up at the corners, make things simpler. So I'll just select that one, then that one. Alt M. Sorry. Alt M. There we go. At last. And then we need to give that edge mean crease as well. Let's do the same thing over here, just so we're consistent across. Alt M. At last. And give this whole thing, let's just get L, just like the whole thing. Make sure we have everything with a mean crease of 1. Alright, everything is nice and clean. And the mesh looks good. I have individual faces for each part of the wing here. This will really help with the unwrapping. And that's what I want. So now I can give it the thickness I was talking about. Let's just hit L, select the whole thing, extrude, and pull her out something like that. That should be pretty good. Right around there is where I'm going to go. Alright, and let me hit L on the whole thing. And give it a mean crease as well. Whoops, that's a mean bevel weight, just a mean crease. And you see we have that. It's a little bit fat. I think the edge here came out a little bit too far. Maybe just grab that and pull it in a little bit more. Cool. And now I want to also... Alright. Okay, what I want to do now is let me basically make, let me just hide this real quick, hit L in here, very good, and basically make this a little bit fatter so I have these on both sides of the mesh. So to do this I just want to select it down the center, which might be a little tricky, but I think I can get it. Just go down the center and select it like that. We get everything down the center perfectly, good select. I got lucky. And let's just pull these out a little bit. Something like that. So I can put the wing right in the center there, and then everything will line up nicely. Cool. Let me select this edge here, and boom, go to side view, extrude it, and scale it down to match that one there. And then I think I can just make this a face, extrude it, scale it. Let's just scale it down to 0. Scale down to 0. Boom. And we might want to delete those doubles there, but for now I'm going to leave it. And there you go. Now you can see when I bring the face back, let's Option H, this wing. Let me just select it with L. Just hide that, and then select it, and then unhide it, and then unselect that. It's a long way to do it, but there you go. Now you can see with that, I can kind of position it right in there, scale it a little bit thinner, and I have those edges on the outside and the inside, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. You can see we have that there, and I have that there. One thing you can do actually, looking at that other image, is make these outer rings here a little bit fatter than the other ring. So just like select those all with Option and right clicking, and then turn on individual origins and scale them up a bit, just to give it a little extra detail. Cool. Alright, and then maybe do the same thing on the outer edges, but scale those down. So let me try and hide, get over there. There we go. Select the face and hide it. And then I could quick do the same thing on the outer edges here, but I don't want to take too much time on this anymore. Just, there we go, and scale them down a little bit. Cool. With those still selected, let me Command Z. Scale them along the X a little bit too, so they come out all the way there. And there we go. Excellent, that looks pretty good. And let's just add a little bit of detail to these. So what I did on mine, if I go over here, as you can see, there's lots of detail along it. And I have, whoops, and I have on mine, I put some like rings along there, and just added a little bit of detail. So I'm going to quick do that now. Okay, so to put the detail on these strips, I'm just going to Control R, put a handful of cuts Let's go 6. So there we go, 6. Do that to each of them. You can just hit the number pad 6, so Control R 6 to make things a little easier, and then just escape so we don't move them. And do that all across here. I think I'll just go 4 on these, just to give it a little bit of variety. On the shorter lengths here, we'll go 4. And then these as well. Control R 6 and Control R 6. Alright, and now I'm just going to basically select this edge loop, double tap G, move it up next to that one, about that space there. Select the one underneath that, double tap G, move it up to that one. And it looks like we should have done 6 edge loops, but I'll just go Control R, add in one more there, and slide it up to there. Now basically I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier on the rings I did on the axle. I'm just going to extrude and scale them a bit, something like that. Select that ring there as well. Let me zoom in there. Extrude, scale it. Cool. Might be a little too much scaling. And then this one here, extrude, scale it. Now things got a little messed up because of the norm or mean crease, but just select them all, hit N, and give it a mean crease of 1. And you can see that that is a little extra detail across there. So I'm going to quick do that to all of these, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and put those across like I said. It looks pretty nice, just a little extra detail. And speaking about detail now, basically if you look at the models of the real TIE fighters, there's a bunch of detail that goes into these places, especially across the whole thing, but especially these are very detailed. And obviously I can't cover all that in the tutorial, but what I can do is I can quick show you guys how I go about adding this detail. Basically, I'm just going to select these 2 edges here. Let me Command Z that, Option Shift, whoops, there we go, get that edge there. And I'd Shift D them, P, and separate by selection. Because there's no point in having the subsurf on something this small that we're just straightening up all the edges on. Basically, we want no subsurf on this. So I just X that out and have no subsurf on this. And then tab in edit mode. Let's kind of pull it back behind it. And then you can come in and just add in a ton of detail on this. A few things you could do actually is, let's just select these faces. X, delete the faces, and these two here as well. Grab that, add another modifier. Actually, oh, maybe I can do that. Let's just turn on the Y there. I think it would help if I hid this real quick. Yeah, the Y helps, and then can I go Z as well? There we go. So I turn the modifier on all axes, so it's covering everything there. And basically, is this all snapped up nicely too? Let me just check that. Oh, it wasn't. Just select these and make sure they're snapped up against the each other there. There we go. Now basically all we have to do is pour in the detail in this corner and it'll come across everything else. So I would just do things like grab this face, Shift D it, scale it down, pull it over here or something like that, and extrude it out. Something like that. And you can see you have those bits of details there. Little nuts or bolts or something. And you can go crazy with this now and add them all over the place if you wanted. And all you have to do is touch this little portion and it's being applied everywhere. So it really helps to speed up the process. And there we go, something like that. And there's a whole bunch of detail already. And some other things that might help is taking this intersection, maybe just extruding that whole thing out a bit. Something like that. There you go, you get kind of that wheel effect there. And basically it's all layers of detail. So you could Shift D this face, scale it down a little bit. Staying in side view, so let me go side view and then scale it down. You can see it's all just sliding along that edge there. I don't really want that, so maybe just duplicate this one. Blah. There we go. Scale it down a little bit and extrude that out a little bit to get that a bit of detail. Maybe that's too far though. Pull that back. Maybe I can even pull these out more. But let's just do that for now. And you can see, boom, we have that amount of detail. So, like I said, I can't do this all though because the tutorial would take too long. So I'm just going to go with about that much, and that should be fine for right now. I'm just going to do some of that maybe. Maybe rotate these. Whoops. Let's rotate these 180 so it's different. Or I guess I could just rotate them 90. Scale it down. And yeah, I'm not going to do any more than this. Rotate these 90 over here as well. I have a little bit of detail there. And that's all I want to do. So to apply this now, you'd want to take the mirror modifier, apply it. And actually, let me command Z that one real quick. I don't want it to be over there. And so I don't need the edge split modifier either. Actually, let's just leave it. And basically I can unhide that now, grab that bit of detail I have added there, shift select my mesh, control P, parent it to it. Now whenever you move your mesh, that detail goes with it, and it looks better. So we can also duplicate that onto the inside if we wanted. So to do that, I would just select this mesh. Let's go side view, and let me see. What I can do is actually, I think I can just go W symmetricize. No, that won't work in this case. I'm sorry. Let's just duplicate it. Shift D, pull it over here. Let's place the cursor right there. Pull it over here, and now I can basically flip it on that cursor. So I'm just going to, before I move it, I have it duplicated here. I'm going to scale along the X -1, but first I want to change it to be the cursor and the pivot point. Scale along the X -1 there, and flipped it over to the other side, just like we want. So there we go. Now this little outer edge here, let me select both these, needs to be scaled down a little bit. I'm not getting it. Actually, it can just be deleted, really, because we don't need that anymore. So just delete those faces. And these over here as well. There we go. Hit L. And get it. I go vertice select. Get it. There we go. And next, delete those faces. And it looks like it needs to come in a little bit there. So let me just tab into edit mode. Unselect the outer edge. Select the inner edge there. And pull that in along the X there. Very cool. Get that detail coming through. Cool. And there's some extra detail. So that is how you detail something like that with mesh modeling. And I think that this whole TIE fighter might be a little bit wide, actually. So what I might do is just tab into edit mode and box select all this. Pull it in a little ways. Box select all that. Pull it in a little ways. Maybe unselect that. Pull it in a little ways. You'll see you're going to shrink it in basically. And then unselect that there and pull it in a little ways. Alright, something like that. And then obviously I need to just, whoops, I don't think I moved those. Let me unhide that and move it in there with that. Cool. Alright, and then obviously these, boom, need to be moved in there as well. Check both sides that they're good and even. Just a tad bit in there more. And that looks pretty good. So there we go. It's a little bit more proportionate looking now. I think that's a little bit better. Maybe just a tad bit more. These sections here might be a little long, so I might just tab in edit mode. Option H. Okay, everything's unhidden. Good. And pull that in there just a tad. Just because I'm a little bit picky. But it's good to be picky as an artist. So there we go. That is pretty good. And perfect. So a little bit more detail now on this part of my mesh, and then I'll call it for the modeling part of this tutorial. But for the first part, I want to add in the guns that it has. So if you check your pictures here, your reference images, I highly suggest that you get some reference images if you don't have any. They're really easy to find on the internet, and you can see you have these guns here. So basically that's what I'm going to add now. And I'm just going to use these two faces here, or maybe these two. Let me see. Yeah, these two might be better. And actually I think I'm going to get by with just using one face, really. Let me see, front view. Yeah, I think one. Well, let's just use 2 faces. I don't know. 1 face might work. Let's just try 1 face and then we can see where it goes. So switch back to medium point from 3D cursor, and let's just extrude. Pull that out. Scale along the X 0. Scale along the Y 0. Whoops. Actually, no, I don't want to scale along the X. I'm sorry. Scale on the Y 0. There we go. And so we got straight up gun there. Now, I do think I want to at least slide these vertices up a little bit. So let's double tap G, slide them up there a ways. And let's grab these now, pull them out some more. And we need to kind of square these off a little bit. So let's pull these up a little ways and rotate them a bit. And then we can scale them along the Z to 0. And then the same thing with these. Let's just pull them down a little bit, rotate them estimately, something like that, and scale on the Z 0. We can straighten up these 2 corners too, scale on the X 0, and these 2 corners there, scale on the X 0. So there we go, we got a pretty good square shape coming off there. I think I want to, well, actually that might be fine for now. Let's just put in this case I'm going to use another edge loop instead of the mean crease because it's kind of on this weird edge. I think I might have problems with the mean crease, so I'm just going to use another edge loop and put that in there, and then I can still use the mean crease for these parts of the mesh. So select those parts, and actually I should really scale these on the Z too. So let me take out that edge loop real quick. Boom, and scale these along the Z to 0. Boom. So we got nice and square up on top there. Maybe just pull these apart a little bit. Cool. And well, let's first see what an edge loop would look like, I guess, before mean crease before I put an edge loop. Alright, that looks fine. You can just get by with the mean crease. And then edge select these 3 vertices, or 4 face edges. There you go, 4 edges. And all of them mean creased as well. And then the last bit here needs a mean crease as well. Let's do that, and mean crease. And you get that. So, I made a mistake. These aren't supposed to be, I'm sorry. These aren't supposed to be mean crease. We want those round. Well, actually, yeah, we want them round on bottom. I don't think we want them round on top. I think just on bottom would do it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I need to kind of do these angles to fix those pinches. Cool. Oh, that doesn't look so great though. Command Z that. Maybe I could adjust the edge split modifier and kind of fix that there a little bit. You can always tweak your edge split modifier, and that looks like it fixed it up a little bit. And see if you can get any better results. Keep in mind it will change everything though, so you gotta be careful with that. So let me turn the mean crease off these edges. Let's turn that to 0. And oh, actually I want to leave it on these 2 top ones. There we go. Put 1 on there. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is, these are a little bit big, so I think I can pretty much scale down on that, but just switch to face select mode, pull it back, and I think I can pull it down a little bit too here. Let me go to Z, wireframe mode to see that better. Yeah, there we go. Pull it down a bit. And now what I'm going to do is inset this. Something like that. And then I get my gun barrel there. So you can extrude that out. Cool, something like that. And then extrude, scale, and extrude out. So we get something like that. And that looks pretty decent. Kind of a little gun head there. This might be a little wide in here. Maybe just scale that. Scale on the shift Y. Scale, shift Y. And that will scale it down just right. Cool. And then maybe the whole thing could be scaled along the X a little bit here. Switch to vertice select mode. Get that one back there I couldn't get. There you go. Scale on the X a little bit there. Alrighty. Something like that. And you got some sweet looking guns on there. You need a little bit of tweaking, but not bad. Maybe just grab that whole unit and scale it down a little bit. I think that might be my best bet. Maybe turn that off again. There we go. Now I can see through my mesh. Cool. So yeah, maybe try scaling just this whole unit down a little bit. Something like that. And might make it fit a little bit better. Still just a little bit big in there. And then grab that vertice. We can kind of pull it out. There. Something like that. And that looks pretty good. These vertices got off a little bit now. Scale them along the Z to 0. And these two, scale them along the Z. Whoops. Scale along the Z to 0. And then actually, maybe to keep them even, but pulling that down a little bit then. Might give it kind of cool look. No, I don't want to pull down. There we go. And now I think I have these out too far, so I'm just going to pull them back. So it's pretty much straight down there. Something like that. And that's pretty sweet. Pretty much what I'm going for. And yeah, there we go. So we got some guns on there. Those don't look too bad. And for a little extra detail, I did some things over here. Let me jump to the model here. You can see these sort of edges here that I kind of put in there as well. And some cuts along the top and bottom. A little bit of detail across the whole thing. But I'm just going to do like the hatch up here maybe real quick. So for the hatch itself, I'll be doing some creases and stuff with the materials. But I can add just a little bit of extra detail along here manually. It's a little bit hard to work on this because the way the vertices are traveling this ways now, it's kind of hard to get a nice circle view up there. So instead of trying to do that, let me turn proportion lighting off. I'm just going to double tap G. Let me kind of imagine you can have something like that. All right, cut into there. And I'm just going to have a few like vent areas in here. So maybe inset that. Boom. And this one as well. Inset that. Something like that. Cool. And then we can kind of take these and extrude them downward. Boom. And then I'll have kind of a hatch running around it. And that might work okay. Maybe control plus that then. Give it all a mean crease. I'll switch to vertices select mode so I get those angles. Alright. I gotta do it manually. Gotta get those angles. So grab the edge select mode and select those angles. Alright. Whoops. There we go. And give that a mean crease of 1. Straightens that all out. And that looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's fine. And then on bottom there's also kind of another hatch. But again, like I said, it's hard to do the modeling on this part of it because it's all round. So I'm not going to bother putting that there, but I might put a crease there with the materials. So I'm just going to select though the bottom edges here. Maybe I would actually like it if it's attached there. So if I have clipping on, if I extrude, boom, you can see I can do what I want. So basically just extrude that up a little bit. And let's try this real quick. If I go space and to sphere, let's see if I can kind of make this circular. I might stand a chance of working if I delete these faces. So hit X to delete those faces. And then let's see what that does. Real quick. Grab that inner edge there. To sphere. No, it's not going to work because of the mirror modifier in this case. So let's just bring that back real quick. Boom. And let's extrude that upwards. Something like that. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of quick hand editing to make this look circular. So let me turn this on so I can select through again. And I'm just going to hide the top portion of the mesh so that's not getting in the way. Select all that, hide it. Cool. Control 7 to jump to bottom view. And oh, this edge there might be kind of a pain to work with because I don't want to move that. But let me see if I can just grab that one underneath it. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Add in another edge loop right there. Control R. Boom. And then what I'm going to do is just grab that edge loop, Control plus, so we got both of those. And I also want these. So I have those and these. Boom. Okay. Actually, don't want those. Don't want those either. I want that one, I don't want that one. Perfect. Just that strip and that, and then I can go Control I and hide everything else. So I have just this to work with now, and I want to make it a sphere without changing. Well, you know, I can change everything. Yeah, okay. So let's just make this a sphere. Pretty simple. We'll just kind of pull those in there. Pull this in here. Cool. And do the same thing over here on top. Box like those. Pull those in there. Pull this in there. Pretty easy to make a sphere. To make a perfect sphere, it'd be a little tricky. But I'm not going to be too picky on this. Just kind of moving vertices around. Whoops. Let me Command Z that. In these cases, I want to get both of these, I believe. And alright, that's looking pretty close. So there we have a pretty good sphere shape. And if I tab back into edit mode now, you can see I have everything there. Let me unhide everything now and see what could be tweaked. It's looking pretty good. I think I just need a crease. And I'll be ready to go. So let's grab that edge there. It looks like things got a little bit messed up with everything hidden. But basically I can fix it. So let me just grab those two. Pull them out. Oh yeah, because this vertice face was hidden. So that was what was kind of messed up. But, oh, why did these get pushed down there? Pull them up. And let's put edge loop or edge crease around here. So grab that edge there and give it a mean crease of 1. Let's control. No, let's just grab that one there and that one. Give that all a mean crease. No, just the edge. I'm sorry. Having a hard time thinking straight. There we go. Grab that one and that one. There we go. And yes, now I can make it Control 7. There we go. Now I can make it a little bit more sphere shaped by moving these like I had before. And pulling it in. Same deal over here. Move those. Pull it in. And that's pretty good. Now this cutout inside is a little too deep. So I'm just going to grab these faces. There we go. Move it out of the way. Perfect. And pull them downward. These could have a mean crease of 1 as well. Although, let's just grab those inner vertices edges. Let me hit C. I don't need these inner edges to have a crease. Let's turn those off. And face select mode. Let's just finish this up. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect. Pull it down so it's not quite so crazy amount. And it looks like I have something off a little bit back here. Oh yes, these got pulled down as well. There we go. Found you and grab you along the Z axis to fix you. So that's pretty clean. Might need a little bit of tweaking still, but I'm pretty satisfied with that. And you can see there's a little bit of a curve right here where I might need a little bit of tweaking. Oh, this needs to come up. There we go. Yeah. Unhide that. Basically pull that up to about be right there. Kind of match everything else. Cool. So now I encourage you to take this a little bit further if you're up for the challenge. It might be fun. And add just a little bit more detail about. Let me see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. So there we go. It's not too bad. Like I said, I encourage you to take it a step further if you're up to the challenge and do some more modeling. Basically, it's pretty simple for the most part. You can just come around areas like this, inset it, something like that. Then take that face, maybe scale up a little bit. I'm going to turn the view of my subsurface down a little bit there. And extrude it outwards. And give it little shapes like that about. You know, every bit of detail is appreciated when you're finished with your scene. So I'm just going to select. What am I doing here? Select that loop there. Let me just go face select. Grab that. then go to edge select, and then go Control plus twice, and give that all an increase of 1. And you get that little bit of detail as well. So lots of little details that could come back and be placed about. But that'll do it for this part of the tutorial. And next part we'll be doing the modeling and texturing. I'm sorry, not modeling and texturing, the rendering and texturing. So you can see here my finished scene again, and we'll be doing lots of cool modeling or rendering and texturing in the next part. So hang tight, and I'll see you guys in my next part.